What's good to all my UTC members? I want to thank everybody that's in the Discord for staying along on the journey. If you've been here with us this whole time, thank you for the support. We got another video, top of the year. We back with the content. We back having motion. You know what I'm saying? We getting it going. Today's video, we're going to be talking about the difference between supply and demand and support and resistance. A lot of people use those terms interchangeably. They are not the same. In today's video, I just want to get into the difference between the two, the different scenarios that you'll use the two. Neither one of them is right and wrong. It's just how you prefer to use it. If you've been keeping up with me, you know that I am a supply and demand trader for the most part. I believe that supply and demand is going to be the first step into getting into order flow. If you watch my videos, you'll see that I have a volume profile video that's been out. So if you haven't watched that already, make sure you go watch that. Without further ado, I'm going to just show you guys a brief description of the difference between supply and demand and support and resistance. And then I'll show you guys an example on the charts. So looking right here, we got the definition of supply and demand. So as you guys can see, it says basic economic principle where a higher supply of a good leads to a lower price and a higher demand leads to a higher price. So supply and demand is basically going to gauge where the relationship got shaky between the buyers and the sellers. Like I said, this is going to be the first step into getting into order flow. And that's why I believe that the volume profile is so important, is because if you're not already in the order flow, or if you're not trading off the dime, the first step into getting in the order flow is supply and demand. So second thing it says is can be analyzed to identify zones on the chart where significant buying or selling activity occurred, leading to potential price reversals. What I want everyone to pay attention to is the wording. Look how many times it says leads. Higher supply of a good leads to a lower price, and the higher demand leads to a higher price. It says again in the second description, it says buying or selling activity occurred, leading to potential price reversals. The reason why I'm heavy on the leading is because the main difference that people don't understand is one of them is leading and one of them is lagging. Now, let's jump into the description of support and resistance here. Refers to a specific price levels on the chart where the price tends to bounce back from a downward movement, which is support, or pause before continuing to an upward trend, which is resistance. The second part of that is identified by looking at historical price data and observing where price reversals frequently happen. So in order to draw support and resistance, you need historical price data. You need to see the candlesticks. That makes it lagging. Supply and demand, leading. Support and resistance, lagging. Now, let's go ahead and get into the chart real quick so I can just give a couple examples. If you're trading on the Mac, make sure you go get MotiveWave. Let's get it cracking on my soul. Boom. As you guys can see, I've already taken the time to draw out some supply and demand zones. I like to use the volume profile, and I like to use it without price. Like I said, if you haven't watched my volume profile video, make sure you go check that out. It will be in the video description. We are using the bar replay feature. The bar replay feature, I have it set to the 2nd of January, the day after the new year. So this was a day after a holiday. As you guys can see, we have supply and demand zones drawn. Our bigger zones are going to be darker blue here. And our smaller zones are going to be kind of like this sky blue. I use the 20-day volume profile. Every now and again, what I'll do is when I'm actually trading, on my lower time frame charts, I have it set to a 2-day volume profile, right? And I can just kind of adjust the ones that I draw on the bigger time frame, right? So seeing this right here, I can already see that what I'm looking at here is I want to move this one just a tad bit, right? I just want to move this one a tad bit here. So we're catching both ends of this drop off. If you're looking at this volume profile, I'm not sure if you guys can see that volume profile, but there's a drop off here so you guys can see. Now, you guys see I have two small zones drawn and I have 2 larger zones drawn. And this is essentially what I'm looking at here to get, you know, my supply and demand zones. And this is how I'm getting in and out of trades. So this is leading, right? Because we can draw this without using price action. I didn't use price action to draw these zones, and I want you to pay attention to how they are fit. If I wanted to, I could make these fit even more, but for video's sake, I don't want to adjust anything based off the price. If you watch the volume profile video, you see that how I use the volume profile to draw these zones, but I don't use price to draw these zones whatsoever. Okay, so we are getting this pushed down. Okay, right into the zone here. Okay, so this is essentially what I wanted to go ahead and show you guys, right? You see how we just got that pushed down into that supply zone there. So when I'm using these supply and demand zones, what I'm looking at is I'm looking for something to happen at these levels, not necessarily. And what I do is I trade with the trend. So essentially, if I see price has been moving down on the higher time frame, so if you guys see we're making lower highs here, now you see we get a couple pullbacks here that are moving to the upside. I'm not indulging in any of that upside movement there. Since we are in the shorts, until we start breaking some of these highs that are up here, I'm still looking for shorts. So this whole time I'm looking for shorts here. And I just want you guys to kind of see this zone here is drawn based off of this little gap over here by this value point of control. We're not in the shorts yet. The reason why we wouldn't be in the shorts yet is the simple fact of we're fresh off the zone, right? So we're just trying to see what's going to happen here. And once we start getting some action, what I want to see is I want to see it go down, right? And I see, okay, we get this zone here. Once I want to see it go down, and I want to see it come back up and create this on the volume profile, this gap here, which is going to essentially be here, right? So once we see that, then I'm getting into the shorts. And once I get into the shorts, I'm just looking to make it to the next zone that we have, right? So I just want to show you guys a couple of examples here. You see we left this zone here. We went straight to this zone. We came back up. We came back down and touched this zone again. These zones are just showing where the relationship changes between the buyers and the sellers. Now, you're not necessarily saying every time it's gonna just, you know, go short and go straight to this box. It just tells you that once you get to one of these levels, you want to start looking for other order flow confluences to say, okay, we're gonna make it to that zone that's below us. And that's only because we're looking to go short because of the primary trend. So that's how I use the supply and demand zones. Now, I did used to trade support and resistance. Now, support and resistance is going to be purely based on price and how, you know, where price is reversed at. This is essentially support and resistance. Zones are still going to be there. The reason why I'm not a fan of support and resistance is primarily because of context and because I'm not looking for anything that's lagging. This is primarily going to be used for people that are looking for the reversals. And there's no problem with that. I think that this actually works good for that scenario. I need to be able to see these nodes on this volume profile so I can see, okay, this is a pullback. I want to continue with this trend and push down to here, right? That's the difference for me. And you know, what, to each his own. But me personally, like I said, I trade supply and demand, but I did want to show you guys the main difference. The main difference is support and resistance is just going to be marking the high and the low of a range or a certain data point, but you need the candlesticks in order to draw that support and resistance. You don't need that with the supply and demand. Supply and demand is going to be strictly based off of the order flow. Is one better than the other? No, it's all, you know, basically, what do you prefer? What do you like? What strategy are you using to trade? Are you trading mean reversion or are you trading with the trend? Me personally, I trade with the trend, so I am using supply and demand pretty heavy in my strategy because I want to get some type of supply or demand zone that I'm pushing off of. I don't want to come down here and say, okay, when price reaches down here, I'm expecting to take a long because I'm trading with the trend. So if price comes down here, I want to be taking profits, right? These would have been some zones here for me, as you guys seen before. And I would have wanted to be short here, and I want to, you know, carry this out. And then when you say, where am I going to take profits? I'm taking profits where these zones are. So I'm taking profits here. Now, if I were to go short up here, I'm taking profits at this mid, you know, this mid demand level, right? So, you know, or supply level, I'm sorry, guys. This is how I personally think of supply and demand and support and resistance. Like I said, support and resistance is lagging. Supply and demand is leading. Let me know in the comments the more videos that you guys want to see. Let me know in the comments if you guys want me to get more into leading and lagging. I want to thank everybody for watching. Go ahead and use that Apex code that's below. We're trying to get a custom code this year, so make sure you guys use the code that's below. I also have a MotiveWave code. Make sure you guys use that MotiveWave code if you haven't already. Stay tuned, tap in, stay dangerous if you don't do nothing else, man. Y'all know what's going on. Make sure you like, share, subscribe, leave a comment.